When would you want it to close? All right, because when you wanted to close the last session, there were two phases of meditation you took us through. You mentioned one letting go, and another one which I can't forget, but it was really which I can remember now. So
Uh-huh.
I would love to ask if you have some video, yeah, that I can continually practice. I can continue practicing it. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if you have some.
Uh-huh. Uh, I'll try to share with and we'll go like in step by step in these our meetings also. Like when we gather, we'll go step by step and we'll give like specific opportunities even to for you to discuss like now. So and then I'll send through Simon some links if I'll try to find some and share with you. And I think there was some, and then you can have idea. But it's actually very simple. And then what we can do is when we meet like once a week, we can discuss like this and see what's happening. So usually a meditation session also we like explaining part. It happens maybe in the first day, but later it's like how was your practice like the last few days, and then uh, we can sit and meditate also, and we can have a plan for the next few days or next week until next week. Uh, so that's the kind of idea, but it's very simple. One was like we did one was the relaxation part, the body relaxation. One was the body relaxation, which we did. It is to actually feel more comfortable or actually like relaxed. So we use the breath and we use the intentional breathing, and we use like trying to relax parts of our body. We use trying to relax parts of our body. So what happens when the body is relaxed? The mind tends to relax. And surely when the mind is relaxed, surely the body becomes more relaxed. So you can sleep well, you don't have nightmares, you can wake up very refreshed, you have plenty of energy. A lot of things, a lot of positive things happen. So, and then after the relaxation, what we did was we did loving kindness meditation. It is like the opposite of anger. So, anger, these kind of things, it's like as an example, if we say, it makes our mind as if a red hot piece of metal or coal. So, this loving kindness is the opposite of anger. So, usually the frustrations, agitations, irritations we feel in day to day life or for some reason, it could be just a climate event, is usually associated with anger. That doesn't mean this person is a bad person or anything like that. It's in the most subtlest of places, if you say the mind and the mind object, how they interact. So some things the mind really clings or grabs hold of it, the things we like. But the opposite happens for things we dislike. We reject it, we try to push it away. But it gives more energy towards that. So what we want to have like a peaceful mind or like a mind without putting more fuel to the fire. We are trying to add like water that starts cooling things up. And usually like a place where there's like a water, it's very difficult to start a fire, no, become flammable. Uh, Usually dry pieces of wood or material easily catches fire, no. So the idea is uh, when it's if it's like water, if there's water, it doesn't really quickly get flammable or doesn't start burning, no. So likewise, that's what we are trying to build a practice slowly. And don't worry, like we can be who we are just as we are, and we can do these simple practices maybe 10 minutes per day, 15 minutes per day, or one time in the morning, one time in the evening, which we will do today also. So thank you for asking the question. I hope that was a proper answer for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And please be free to ask anything through Simon or anything like that. So Simon, this
Yeah,
lady asked
yeah.
a question. So and she asked whether there are any videos or something, like maybe I'll share with you a link or something. I also don't have like a collection of those, but and surely we'll meditate today also. Then we have feel of it, no? Simon, are you there? Okay.
All right, guys, welcome to today's edition. It's always an amazing time being spent with Sandy. Like, I always love to have a healthy, very healthy conversation with you, Sandy. It's really incredible.
Thank you.
And today is another amazing day where we'll cover a very strategic topic. We've been talking about the issue of trauma experiences, traumatic experiences, and how it has shaped life and how it continually shaped life. So I would love for us to continue in that journey. But
Uh-huh.
right now, let's look at the family session of our life, right? Family is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Family is very important. In fact, every society is built on the foundation of family.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundation of every society is the family coming together, right? And right now, one of the major problems I've seen in our society is the fact that families are disunited, families
Uh-huh.
are disoriented, right?
Uh-huh.
The childhood training system is not as effective
Mm-hmm.
as it was in our time.
Sure.
In my time, we have a communal kind of growth process where your mother and your father are not just the only people training you. It takes a community to train a child, right? But right now, we see this very disoriented, everybody disconnected. Even in the family, everybody is disconnected. The children just doing their stuff, the parents just doing their stuff. So everybody is not together. And this causes trauma for the child. It causes a sort of disconnection for the children. And we see the effect of that in the rate of crime. Crime rate is increasing
Mm-hmm.
every day. People are becoming homicidal, suicidal, and a lot of things just happening. And if we should trace it back, it goes down to the foundation, family. So we look at deeply how can we resolve these traumatic experiences of children through fixing this family bond that has been broken over time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I really wanted to throw a little light on that. When you talk about family, what comes to your mind?
Uh-huh. So, like you mentioned, thank you so much, Simon. It's a great pleasure to be here, all as always, and to be with you all. And great topics you are selecting, and it's a very valid thing, no? And we should bring up these kind of topics, which need urgent solutions, right? This is our children, no, and
Mhm.
generation, even ourselves, right? Which go through many of these things. So, yeah, like we had to first see like what is trauma, and then how does it affect the family, because there are many aspects and many layers of this also. So I'll just if you say like trauma, like we mentioned last time also, it's like through past experience or ongoing struggles. It definitely, because family is the first place we arrive with, no. So that is the unit or the first place, no? As a child, when we are born, this is the place. It could be according to the circumstances, but this is what we have at first. So according to that, many things can happen, and this is a vital stage in your life. So in psychology also, it says like 50% of their mentality is already done within the range of 5 years. of a child, 50%. Huh? So the latter part is the time like you go for studies and all these things and from society. So from within the first 5 years, even they say like within the time when the child was in the mother's womb, they know what is happening. In ancient wisdom, it's well explained. So even like little children, there were instances they came to their parents. So the father and mother was there. They were always like every night they would tell a story for the child while the child was in the mother's womb. This was a very caring couple. But the story was very big. It was a big book. So they could not actually finish the whole story. Uh, So you know what? After the child was born and the child could speak, the child came and asked the parents, like, that story you were telling me, what happened in the end? Really? So think this is just a story, right? Oh, just we cannot say just a, but it's a story, right? So what about the things like if there's like fights in the family or abuse conflicts, and if the mother is stressed out or the father is stressed out, these things also will the child will be feeling, bro, if they can remember the story. Huh? And then so later we cannot blame the children. Oh, we did such and such, now this person is such. So we also have to, as parents and all, there's a big responsibility we have to take. These were well illustrated as well as told in ancient times, Simon. So coming back to like, yeah, the family can deeply be affected by this, and it can lead to alcoholism, abuse, domestic violence, even right up to the worst of extent. No, drug addictions, even murder or chaos, serial murders, lot of things that can happen. And it leads to like lot of misunderstanding, emotional. Either they become too violent or aggressive, or they become too silent. They can fall into states of depression. These can even children. If a father comes drunk, even if there's no violence in the family, they become so anxious. He might just come and sleep. But the shame factor and all these things, and children, like when you also go to school, they talk about this. They know very much more than we think. They know the emotions of their family. Even like if the mother is disrespectful for the father or the father, they recognize that even through the words they use, the emotions of the face, even those kind of things, they
Mm,
really feel it. So if a father
mm,
comes drunk and he just lays down and sleeps and get up in the morning and goes, that even affects the child. And if some friends say your father was drunk and he was coming like waving on the ground, if the drama is more, the more the hurt it happens. So the,
exactly.
these are
Exactly.
like big things. So emotional distance conflicts, and so we definitely need like healing methods and all for especially. Uh, and we'll go
Mm,
like step by step of like they are well very well explained about types of trauma a family goes through. Okay,
mm, mm.
okay, please.
Wow. So I love how you were able to bring everything into one conversation, because these are things that we don't really look at, but they're there. They're affecting the family, right?
Uh-huh.
They're causing disunity and a lot of disorientation everywhere, right?
Mhm.
People are
True.
no longer united, right? I could remember growing up where we could go from houses to houses,
Mhm.
friends and families. Your friend becomes a family friend, and the mothers know each other, the fathers know each other,
Mhm.
and before you know, it's a stronger bond. You
Mhm.
wouldn't want to hurt anybody because there is a connectivity. You feel like you belong. But
True.
these days, what we've seen is even in the household, brothers and sisters and siblings,
Mm.
they're antagonizing each other, right? Everybody's doing things for their own self benefit.
Mhm.
Why? Because they feel like they're not part of the family, right? They feel like
Mhm.
And we see things also with parents where parents treat some children better than they treat the others,
Sure, sure.
and it's a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that causes. I was speaking with somebody, and the person said something to me. He said, I felt like I never belonged in my family. And I
Uh-huh.
was wondering. He said every day my mom, my dad always pointed me to my younger sibling,
Uh-huh.
right? It made me feel like my younger sibling was always better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, at a point I didn't want to talk to my dad, I didn't want to talk to my mom, I just didn't want to talk to anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
I want us to talk a little bit about that responsibility the parents play, most especially in this area of comparison, because most parents do not know that by treating one child more favorably
Mm-hmm.
than the other, you're leaving a traumatic experience with the other child you're not treating them. And they understand it. They can read in the room. These children are quite inquisitive, right?
Yeah.
So, what do we do about that? How do we help parents begin to fix this love imbalance, this care imbalance
Uh-huh.
in the homes?
Sure, sure. Yeah, like I read recently like about the story and life of Arnold Schwarzenegger, the bodybuilder,
Mm,
and his
mm,
father was always he was alcoholic. It seems his father, and he was always ridiculed him, saying like your skinny legs, like always. And his brother was well built and all at that time, and he would always
mm,
praise him. Uh, See, look at your brother. You will never be like your brother. All these things, no. Then what
mm,
happened was like
mm,
when the over years passed, like the brother went to like play football and all these the sports and all these things. But later, but luckily Arnold he didn't fall down or collapse. It had hurt him very a lot. But he did the opposite. No, he started building his life, and then one he became one of the most renowned persons in the entire world, no, of dedication and all these things.
yeah,
But he had to go a lot of
yeah.
things. He had to migrate, and he did construction work. He had to go to the gym every day. Like I'm just telling because it was
Mm-hmm,
his life, right? So there was a lot of
mm,
dedication and all this. But the brother, he became like an alcoholic because he was overpraised, right? He thought everything was
mm,
perfect, and he didn't see the dark side or anything like that. And then he became
mm,
an alcoholic and a drug addict, and he just
mm.
wasted his life or like destroyed everything for himself. But the opposite, lucky
Yeah.
in this instance, like this child or the young person version of it got strength from that and like rebuild himself, no. So there are male female or examples like that. So the parents what the damage doing, because a little child's mind is like a why, like if it was like a plain piece of cloth, like a clean one, or if it was a canvas, it was be like a blank canvas. And what we draw or what we put into that piece of cloth or something really sticks there. These are not adults we are talking, right? These are innocent children. They could be naughty, they could be, like not listening to us. Many things can happen, but still they are children, right? But like you
Mm.
mentioned, like they are so, because this is the time they absorb everything. This is the time they ask, like, what is that? Why is
Yeah.
it happening? All inquisitive, no, like you mentioned, because they don't know they are like first time visitors to this world. So they, soon as they can understand, they want to know what is this. You have to explain to them, maybe many times. But when they see the darker side or the negative side or the comparisons of things, then what it
Mm.
really hurts them, damages them. And if it's like always the negative stuff that are coming out, you are no good. This can have a huge, and this is a way sometimes like serial killers and people are born. Psychopaths, serial
Mm.
killers, sociopaths, like with huge trauma. And then they can be like very dangerous for the entire community as well as the whole world even. Uh, so
Yeah.
parents,
True.
this is the main base, Simon, or family. or there can be instances that are single parents for some specific reasons. But if they also unit of a proper family, and even in some developed countries, they have seen like uh, sometimes when there are single parents, uh, the amount of things that a child can go wrong, can the percentage is much more. uh, so if the family unit is protected and they are how to say, they are unified, and there are more things to support a proper relationship as husband and wife, or like that, as a unit, and there are more things than dividing them to unify them, that will be a huge booster or a plus for a family. Because if one of them is missing, the children are lost, right? The mother gives all the nature and care. The father is the figure that, like, really, how to say, puts them in line. No? And they see a
Mm.
father figure, and you see a lot of children, even female girls and all, like when the father figure is not there, they can fall into plenty of wrong sides in life. And opposite is
Mm.
like, even when the mother is not there, their sense of like kindness, compassion, these kind, they lose that. So this is the first part. And think like within that also, if it's an abusive situation or a comparison like that, it can be so damaging for a, especially a young child.
Yeah.
So yeah, if parents
So
are knowledgeable, or like, just by, they don't have to be educated or none of that. No, there were, before, there were families with 10 plus children or more.
mm,
Every year they would get a child, no? And some, they didn't use all this birth control and all these things. So it was tough at the beginning, but later they had this beautiful big family, no? And even if they all got together, they could do so many things. So those,
exactly.
there are mothers and fathers who treated all the children. I remember I spoke to some people like that, and their mother and father would say, "You are the most precious one to me," directly or to that person. So they thought, I'm like,
Mm,
but later they got to know their mother and father had been doing that to all the children, uh,
mm.
giving the
So
attention.
let's talk a little bit.
Sure, sure.
Let's talk a little bit about that
Uh-huh.
because it's a massive problem that is causing strong disunity in the family.
Uh-huh.
These children are able to read beyond the lines and in between the lines
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like parents doing that with their children, they're creating a disunity and a dysfunctionality that
Mm-hmm.
they might not be able to solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken with clients,
Mm-hmm.
right, who at the end of the day, when they
Uh-huh.
become adults, there's this dysfunctionality. These days, you hear a lot of talk about self-esteem, building self-esteem, self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
self-doubt, and all those things. It wasn't supposed to be there because in a healthy family setting, children grow with a healthy self-esteem,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the responsibility of parents to look at, to get the children together. Say you have two children, get them together and say, you're beautiful, you're awesome,
Mm-hmm.
you're amazing. Not you are beautiful, you are worse,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not you are good, you are bad, right? It has to be the responsibility of
Mm-hmm.
parents to take on the identity, to help the children form their identity. And like you said, right, when the children come, they come like a blank sheet, a blank canvas,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
No problem, no thought, no self-doubt, no confidence issue. They're blank. But the parents sow the seed of dysfunctionality in the children,
Mm-hmm.
and it's becoming a growing problem. What do we say to parents? How do we help parents fix this? How do we help parents? And sometimes we, as parents, you can't help it. You may have one child who does better than another.
Mm-hmm.
How do we create the balance there? How do we create that balance that allows the parent love the one that is doing what you like and also love the one that is not doing what you like. How
Mhm.
do we create a balance? How as parents can we help our children feel loved even when they're not getting it right, and still make them feel important even when their siblings are doing better than than they're doing?
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
do we do that? How do we fix that problem?
If other people also want to add their ideas, please add there. So, and Simon, please, so if you also want to talk about it, please do. So, there are coaches, there are counselors, these kind. There's family counseling now, these kind of things, and there are surely like spiritual leaders, no, these kind of people according to different religions. Also, we can talk to them. They have their structures and ways of implementing these good things. No, for example, the many
Mm-hmm.
religions and all teach you how to like treat your children as a wealth, as a blessing, no, and treat them equally, no, as much as possible. Uh, so likewise,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw like over the time we did with clients and these people I associated along the way. If you make
Mm-hmm.
yours, try to make yourself better, a better version of yourself. Huh? The more understanding that happens, and you don't put your trauma onto the children, your expectations. That means like some parents, they have actually it's not the children. They have such and
Mm-hmm.
such expectations. They try to bring it up through the children, but the child, say for example, like maybe the parents, they when they were young, they had some parents like honestly they want to bring their children to a better place than what who they are, no, but some like you see them like really pushing the children, want him to be somebody they could not be, or their expectations, or they what they were goals they were pursuing. But this,
Mm-hmm.
the child could be talented in a total different direction. So more we
Yeah.
can understand as parents also and cure ourselves better, we more we can understand, and we can understand at this age how would I think, how would I feel, no, and then what can be done, or is it hurting this person, no, even the child, what are the responses, then blankly doing what we think it's right, or like I mean like according to our beliefs and no things, not the good and right, bad I mean, huh? But just see whether is it something really the child needs, and then especially this comparison, why would we need that even if it was a source of encouragement? And we see it like some progress, okay, like you also can be like that, no, not like that. This is like putting children down. No, why are you not like him? You're useless. No, something like that. Without that, you can motivate the child. That's different, right? I know. I trust in you. I believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if he can do or she can do, you also definitely
Mm-hmm.
can do. Not to condemn them. No, not to crush them. No, like you. So then the worst is like this will go on even to their marriage life or relationship wise. And then it will come back to
Mm-hmm.
the parents even
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, because if they have problems in the marital life and all, or the relationship wise, then they might come back home again, uh, because there are problems in their marriage even, or relationships even. So it goes a long way. So if the parents, if they can identify and know better about themselves, but there are obligations
Mm-hmm.
and difficulties, so example like in poverty situations, or if they are already have their
Mm-hmm.
trauma, they are traumatized, or domestic abuse situations, no, they already have their, so it's difficult for them to think peacefully or have a space of mind.
Mm-hmm.
There are instances
As
we should
parents.
know, right? So and then they
Yeah.
desperately need the children to like you do this and quickly get out or be free, or like why are you not doing that? Or they can put their pressure or that tension and everything on the child even. Uh,
Mm.
but if we get a more better space, it's not about how rich people are or how poor people are. It's not that. If we can make the space for ourselves, then we can be a better parent because we understand
mm,
ourselves more. Uh,
mm,
so things like practices or talking to professionals or even meditation practices and all, or relaxation
yeah.
methods and all, or spending time more with your family and children. You might say like,
Mhm,
"Oh, we don't have in modern era, we don't have much time. We have to earn this, and that." But what is more important, right? We have to
mm,
see that also, no? It's in a way, if we can like look after what we really want or need in life, and let
mm,
go of something that is like really stressful and tiring, it seems a
mhm,
better thing than, because there's so much suffering and pain that causes to oneself and even the children and everybody.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So if we can
So,
understand those kind of things, it's really
mhm,
helpful. We can help our children also more.
right. So I love this concept that you shared. It's the modern madness. We're so busy we don't have time for our family,
Mhm.
and it's one of the major reasons why the children. Someone said something. He said, "You're wondering why your children are behaving the way they are behaving." He said, "You never trained them." He said, "You gave them to the government to train them."
Mhm.
They spend 8 hours or sometimes,
Sure.
yeah, 8 hours roughly in school,
Mhm.
or sometimes even more than eight. Some children resume school by 8 a.m. and come back by 4 p.m.
Oh.
Right? They
Uh,
spend lots of hours in school,
mhm.
and you're not there for them. And at evenings, you don't spend time with them. So the governments are training your children. It's like you can't send your children to Caesar and expect them not to come back as Romans.
Mhm.
It doesn't work. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
natural, right? And we need to call parents back. Spend time with your children. They are your words. There's a word we use for parents or parenting. It's called guardianship.
Mhm.
Guardianship means to
Mhm.
guard,
Uh-huh.
to protect, to defend, to be there,
Mhm.
right? When they need you the most, right?
Sure.
When your children start experiencing certain things, you should be the first person the children come to, not
Mhm.
some outsider, right? They should hear certain things from you as a parent
Mhm.
first, right? Not even the teacher. The teacher doesn't have the power to culture them into what you want them to do. There's a way you can culture
Mhm.
children, right? And I want us to talk a little bit about what I call dysfunctional love system. I
Mhm.
call it a dysfunctional love system
Mhm.
where I see parents when the children are doing well. Most times the father say it's my child,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
mother say it's my child, and they shower the child with love. Now, when the child isn't doing well in our African system, we beat the child. We use caustic words on the children.
Mhm.
So it creates a distorted perspective of what love or what true love is. When your dad say, "I love you," you feel now that you are
Mhm.
only loved when you do right, and when you do wrong, you're not loved. So most times people try to, we can respond to pain differently. Some children end up doing trying to do what's right every time. So it creates a fear of failure in children because
Mhm.
they don't want to do what's wrong. And most times you won't know what's wrong. And it hampers your success when you can't try, when you can't
Mhm.
make mistake. Because the last time you made mistake as a child, you were beaten. And when you did something that seemed right, you were praised. So you always want to be praised. And when you grow up as an adult, you want to make big moves. You want to start a business. You're afraid deep down that you're going to fail. And that experience, that traumatic
Mhm.
experience lives with you because it's fear of failure. It even causes fear of success. It causes fear of mistakes and fear of trial. And at the end of the day, the individual is ruined. I get a lot of this conversation and I coach a lot of people around this. And
Mhm.
I looked at it. This dysfunctional love system, how do we fix it? What is your perspective about this dysfunctional love system?
With proper reasoning and then identification, no? Like you said, it's so true. We cannot give, and now sometimes we see in schools also there are some things like unbelievable things happening, no? There can be like
Mm-hmm.
children can be put into dangerous situations, no? Even with very dangerous people. And then some concepts and all you cannot even believe. I don't want to point fingers or anything, but in some even first world countries, for children about like 7 years old, the books they are supposed to read
Mm-hmm.
is like very explicit and you cannot imagine. Or like also into more,
Very explicit.
yeah, yeah, like explicit and would like sexual content, and parents are annoyed, and in some it's going in one direction also, and it's just for like 7 year olds. Yeah. So, and then other thing is like
Mm.
leave a child in daycare system and all, and some people are very kind and all, but some like they don't treat the child, no, and they sometimes take the stuff of what we give our children and they give it to their children maybe, and that is child negligence and abuse, no. So then later a parent cannot expect,
Mm.
like if you put it to their, how can they have the connection with the child, and this is a very
Mm.
short time, like they can really make that connection. So later if you can say when they surely they'll start changing when they become teenagers, no.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
coming back to your question, yeah, like proper understanding, communication, uh, and this can go a long way because there are the trauma types, can it can be a generational trauma even. It can be a
Mm.
lineup of things like it had been happening for like generation after generation, and it's saying like you are not good and you are useless and all these things from generation. So there should be a place like one stands up and says like, no, I will not take it further. Even I
Mm.
because we are supposed to be adults, right? So I won't
Mm.
put that trauma. Even if I went through some trauma, I don't want to put that on my child. No, I'll stop it there. If
Mm.
my father was doing that or mother was doing that, and it happened to them also. But we should
Mm.
be the ones like who are really trying to stop it from then and there. And we have to
Mm.
understand, no, this is a child, not an adult. It's not your, like not a company or like not a work. No, you're not paying this child to be who they are or who you want to be, right? Uh, and that's why like we also have to understand our priorities, our life, and adjust our life also. We cannot like run around. It's better not to be a parent then, right? Because it's not
Mm.
as even to
Mm.
grow a
True.
plant, how difficult it is. No, if you want to grow a plant properly, there are so many dangers, right? You have to, and then you have to nature it and slowly make it grow strong. Even passing by animal can just munch on it and destroy it, right? Uh, so even if you are very careful, like
Mm.
bugs and all caterpillars or any animal can eat that plant or destroy it, right? Or the hot temperatures or cold or not having enough water or fertilizer.
Mm.
Anything can
Mm.
destroy the plant. So we just this is just for a plant. So think of a
Mm.
human being, no, or a child. How much attention and all that is required. So we cannot run around and my goodness, like we don't even have time to breathe. And then
Mm.
like we cannot just say like, oh my children, I am doing so much for my children, huh? But they are not as what I want. Some people are
Mm.
frustrated. We do so much for you. Why don't you cannot study? Huh? Why don't you be disciplined? No, like those children. Maybe their background, their father and mother is there for them. They are listening to
Mm.
them. They are connecting with them, trying to understand them, not letting them do
Mm.
whatever they want. Huh? But
Mm.
more connection is there. They say, Simon, like if the father is sweaty and he just comes after a hard day, if the child runs uh, to hug the father, let it happen. Huh? That tie and the connect. Don't come near me. Or like we might think like, oh, also all the sweat can come onto them also in a good way. Or like I'm too tired. That is
mm,
worse, no? Uh, but the just like the smell of that father or mother, the touch of that father and mother, that goes a very long
mm,
way. The connection.
mm.
Then they are open. They can talk anything with even if something goes wrong, they are free to talk. Like
Wrong. Yeah.
yeah, they say I can be. I was bullied or somebody did this thing advanced towards me. Oh, I want this, or I feel these emotions and all the things happening within me. They grow up, right?
Mm,
They'll be teenagers, and all the
mm,
hormones and all these things will start working on them. But if they have no,
mm,
they will try to turn to some guy or a girl or something, or just try different ways of channeling it, no? Or talking to people,
mm,
maybe on the internet. And there are all these weird people can be there on the internet. All these perverts and all, no predators. Uh, then that's why a lot of children fall into trouble also, right? So
mm,
if the connection is there and they try to like connect with the children more than their careers or whatever they are trying to seek materially, for that they should actually plan it properly and have proper structure. It's not about the wealth they have even. There are plenty of
mm,
families like they were well organized and they had like bunch of children before, right? And you could see them
mm,
laughing, playing around, all these things. Surely they will fight at some point. But they
mm,
were happy, you know. Now we have all this most material stuff and everything, but yet like father is separate, mother is separate. The children just come from school and then they're there. They get up and then go back to school again, eat whatever. They never sit together and eat. And with the mobile device and all, it's gone more crazy. There's no time
mm,
to even talk with each other. They're
mm,
stuck with some equipment, no? As if it's glued to their
mm,
faces, even from small days.
mm,
So see, like
mm,
the even when we give a child a mobile device just to stop them crying, huh?
mm.
They
Yeah.
their connection with the mobile device, not the parent, right? We think
Yes,
it's
not the
easy.
parents. Yes.
Yeah, because there's all sorts of things on the mobile, no? And it's very
Mm,
artificial. I saw Simon
mm,
recently. Parents give a mobile device, no? Then they think like they put some song or something, or a children's song, and they fall asleep. They took like like what they use in some practices, like they call it a singing ball made out of metal, and
mm,
they take like a stick or a wooden piece, and it brings a nice
mm,
vibration. That's why in churches and many nice places they had these massive bells before. In some places, this was a therapy actually. This was used, these giant bells and all, they bring some certain amount of frequency. Uh, so I saw this with my own eyes, and then this the child suddenly woke up and was like, as usual, little toddlers or infants, they start crying, no? So then what happened? This parent slowly made that it's called a singing ball. It vibrate. Then the child nicely fell asleep. Uh, but think the vibrations of a mobile device or something what it can bring. The
mm,
hertz, the magnetic structures, and all those things. Even for adults, when you watch something, even your favorite movie or something, it hurts after some time, right? You cannot
yeah.
watch like
Mm,
couple of movies on a row, no? You get tired.
mm,
Even if you're working in
mm,
front of the screen, you feel tired. Your eyes hurt, no? So think of a little child, and these devices were just tested on adults, not children.
mm,
How to say, the radiation and everything. These were adults just tested on. It still says like it's not safe for adults even. So when you
mm,
place a mobile device right in front of a child who has a very thin skull, very fragile skin and everything, how much radiation and then the frequencies and all this must be affecting them. then how can they even,
mm,
uh, like a lethal device is they start connecting with that, huh? And
mm,
then how can they make a human connection?
mm.
So as parents also we have to take a big responsibility. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Wow. I, you know, I love the fact that you got into it because I was going to come there.
Oh,
I was going to
okay.
talk a little bit about this. There's this over, I call it the early exposure to technology.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but most times parents don't monitor it, and it's a big thing. So we're going to really look into that after this question. You made mention of something whilst you were talking. You said something about generational trauma, and I was having a conversation with one of my clients, and I said
Mhm.
sometimes trauma can be passed down. And I use myself as an example, right?
Mhm.
If my guardians were hurting and they hurt me, and it's more like when they were hurting one and they passed their hurt to me, it's gonna be times two or three of
Mhm.
what they were experiencing that they're gonna pass to me.
Mhm.
And if I don't rise up to fix it, to fight it, to stop it, I'm gonna pass times three of what I have to my
Mhm.
children. So
That's
say
true.
they passed three to me, and I doubled it to say about nine, and
Mhm.
then I take nine of that pressure to my children, and
Mhm.
that they're gonna be having to go through 18 different pressure because my pressure plus my father's pressure
Mhm.
plus their father's pressure now to my children is going to be a lot to take in at a given time. It's
Mhm.
going to be really, really a lot to take in. And this is the kind of pressure we pass down to the children and expect. So the stress we go through at work, we expect the children to understand what we're going
Mhm.
through. I'm stressed. Can't you see I'm stressed? I don't want to talk right now. I'm not
Mhm.
in the mood to, right?
Yeah.
And that is a lot of negative energy. The child wants to say something to you, they can't say. And over time, they become so distant from you. They don't want to communicate with you anymore.
Mhm.
Even when you want to, now you want to hear them out because they're becoming a little bit rebellious. They don't
Mhm.
want to talk to you. They don't want to share with you. And you're wondering what's happening. It's because you give too much time and you've been passing down your pressure, your father's pressure to the children, and they don't understand it. And someone said something.
Mhm.
Children are selfish in their reasoning.
Mhm.
Children are selfish. It is they only understand that it's about them, right? A child
Mhm.
doesn't know whether you had a bad day at work.
Uh-huh.
It's about them. They expect you to be available for them, and they're right at that given time. They're right. If you're not ready to take the responsibility to be the parent for your children, then you shouldn't be giving birth to children,
Mhm.
right? And that is something, that generational pressure being passed down, that generational trauma being passed
Mhm.
down. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? Because sometimes people don't know they have trauma. That's the
Mhm.
problem.
Mhm.
They don't seek help. Someone told me one time, he said, I don't think I need a coach. I don't think I need a therapist. And this person was constantly ruining his business with the way he was acting towards his staff. And I told him, you know what? Let's have one conversation, a 30 minutes conversation, a
Mhm.
coaching session, right? Let's just have a 30 minutes conversation.
Mhm.
If it doesn't work, if you don't need it, then no problem. By the time we were done with that 30 minutes, he couldn't end the call. He was crying
Wow.
because he found out a lot of pain that has been lurked in there. And he
Mhm.
found out the reason why he's doing his business was not because he was passionate about his business, it was because he was trying to prove a point to his father, who was long dead.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
Right. So, and he made sure that his children are that way. You must go to school, you must study this, you must be this, that's the way to succeed. And the child wanted to do something different. He didn't want it. So
Mhm.
that pressure, that generational trauma, how do we help parents fix
Mhm.
it? What can parents do to
Yeah, yeah.
fix it?
So true. So yeah. So there is a process we can see from many angles also, Simon. One is like
Mm,
from the very beginning, if we have moral ethics and all, it's a big blessing. Because there are sometimes
mm,
single parents, no, and childhood
mm,
pregnancies, these kind of things. So it can be a
mm.
relationship and all. I'm taking it bit further also, because for
Yeah.
example, and we cannot say like you abort the child, no, or the mothers they don't want to do that, no, even if they are young, and they end up with a
Mm,
child and they are sometimes very young, they don't know what to do.
mm,
And they are also
mm,
very emotional and all, they it happened in a young stage. So we
mm,
cannot say don't have relationships or anything like that. We are not controllers or anybody, no. But have if you have some
mm,
moral ethics according to any religion or what you're practicing or anything, or in be on the safe side, we can say, and stop these kind of things happening. Because if somebody gets pregnant and all, no, no proper person will say you destroy the child, no. Then they have,
yeah.
but it's a lifelong thing, responsibility, right? They have to, and then
Mm,
this is a child, not a plant or something, no? You cannot just abandon it,
mm,
no, forget about, oh, the plant just died. What am I do? I get a new plant? Not like that, right?
no.
So
Mm,
trees are also valuable, but children are even more, right? This is beings, no, than humans. And so if people can be careful from the very beginning, even as young
mm,
people, as responsible, even according to religion and all,
mm,
that's also totally fine. Because many religions say this, no, be careful, don't
mm,
do these kind of things, no. So if that also helps, that's wonderful. Or at least be careful
mm,
on in your relationships and all, not into go to big like, for example, getting pregnant for that matter, right?
mm,
Or what if
mm,
the other partner doesn't want it or they abandon it, no? So other times like divorce and
mm,
these kind of things, or like young parents, sometimes the mother goes away. Then the father is stuck there and he's under
mm,
tremendous pressure. Then he starts drinking or something, and that
mm,
makes hell on earth, right? So from the very beginning, if
mm,
you don't
yeah.
have a proper plan, or you can be poor, that doesn't mean you don't have to have, you cannot have children or anything, but have a proper
Mm,
plan on discuss and all these things. For the
yeah.
first part, we all take to care of the children, or like if possible, you nature them and all these things. Provide for you everything without
Mm,
complaining and all
mm,
these things, no? And then like that
mm,
have a proper understanding and a proper structure if you really want. So likewise, and then like this generational trauma, like it's passed down from, but it can, there can be
mm,
external reasons also, for example, abuse, or like when they move from place to place, or displacement, even greater things like natural
mm,
disasters. These also can, because the
mm,
environment becomes so harsh. So the parents or ones
mm,
who were there before, they became really tough. So there was no
mm,
time like in the animal kingdom, no? Like
mm,
there it says like the toughest are the survivors, even in the cubs, no? So
yeah.
they are just left alone to die. But these are human beings, no? We cannot do that. Even safaris and all, they don't touch or let what nature takes its own course. Even
Mm,
if a lion comes and bites its cubs and all to hurt them and they get paralyzed, nobody gets involved usually, right? Uh, and
mm,
but humans, as humans, we cannot do that, no? So there can be some reasonable aspects, but that doesn't mean we have to transfer our trauma, which becomes worse and worse and worse over the course of time. So
mm,
at least now, because this is 2024, right? And we are not, we could be not in a such a chaotic situation, uh, luckily, right?
mm,
So then what we can do is we can see like, my goodness, this happened to me or through my parents. I don't want this to
mm,
happen to somebody whom I love, no, or treasure.
mm,
Even if I'm
mm,
going through a lot and all these things, but I don't have to transfer it that to I find some help. I go to a counselor or
mm,
psychologist or some religious. idol figure I value so much, and talk to them, or some elders or people like good friends, no, or people like this,
Mm.
or even places like this, we can discuss openly, and we try to
Yeah.
find a solution. We don't have to dump it on the others. It happens
Yeah.
in many families, even the partners, they just throw mud at each other, no, and they don't even
Yeah.
know. But that is not a proper reason. And then the most worst is if your child becomes like mentally handicapped or like some psychological disorder, still then you will have to face more problems, right? It doesn't solve anything. There's a side that can happen like that also. So individually, if we can start fixing ourselves, then that will be a great aspect, Simon. And we know that torture or the
Mm.
trauma we had to go through, and if we can bring kindness, compassion,
Yeah.
understanding, all these beautiful things, huh? Even God and all
Mm.
these wonderful beings taught us, huh? Then what
Mm.
we can like transmit the good things, not the bad things, no. And there's
Yeah.
always a saying, what goes around comes around. So there was a
Yeah.
place, Simon, like the parents were not treating the child's sorry, grandfather or grandmother properly. Yeah. So they were abusing, no? They were not they treating so they were feeding them in also very like dirty vessels and all, like plates and all. Yeah. And then suddenly they were ashamed of these elderly people, no? So they were like hiding and treating them very bad. And this is not like directly child trauma. I'm just telling the incident
Mm.
of what goes around
Yeah.
comes around. Eh? So then
Mm-hmm.
one day this uh, parents or the child's grandparents, that particular plate was missing, it seems. They searched it because they didn't
Mm.
want to give the grandparent a proper plate or another plate. They were searching for the exact plate, and they asked, and then the child seems like
Mm.
you can see through their actions and all, no? Maybe like digging the
Mm.
earth or floor with their thumb, or like moving around or looking down. You can see, like something's up. And then, like, you know
Yeah.
about this? They asked, no? And he was like looking down, and it's a little child, no? And then, did you take it? They asked, no? Then you were honest and said yes. Then asked, why did you take it, no? The child had told, when you grow old, to feed you.
Whoa.
Yeah, yeah. So see the depths of it. This is a small child, and they see like how you are treating other people. So definitely how they are treating you, no, or as a child. And then this hatred or anger
Mm.
can be deep rooted. And as a parent, someday, if you need some help, you will get the backlash of it, or the agitation, frustration. No
Yeah.
wonder parents end up in elders' homes at sometimes. There are bad children. Also,
Mm.
I'm not
Mm.
telling always it's the fault of the parents, but there are some
Yeah.
reasons like the parents end up there. Huh?
Mm.
Because okay, you didn't look after. Why should we look after you? You didn't look after your
After you. Yeah.
parents. I didn't see you doing
Mm.
anything for your grandmother. You chased them out. Why would we? Oh,
Mm.
we didn't connect. No, you were never good
Mm.
to me. Why should I look after you now?
Mm.
Uh, But there are some nice children who change that also, and they are like angels. They take care of their parents, even if they hurt them. No,
Mm.
but these are very rare.
Mm.
But at least
Yeah.
as adults, if we can break that link or the chain and stop that
Mm.
uh, process of continuing the trauma, that will be a great
Mm.
blessing for all. Even in the end game,
Wow.
or coming around for yourself, even.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, because
That's truly incredible.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love the analogy you gave. It got me to my bones.
yeah.
I'm keeping it so that when you grow old, I'll feed you with it. And the child
These are
now
real,
thinks that
real
that's
true
the way you
stories, eh?
treat older people.
Uh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
The child kept it, imagining that that's how they treat older people. And that's to say, most of the dysfunction in children is coming from the house. You know, they say
Mm,
charity begins at home.
true.
What you saw your parents do, and children learn more from what they see more than what you tell them to do.
Mhm.
All right. As we round off, I want you to talk a little bit more about this early exposure to mobile device, to Android phones.
Uh-huh.
Parents think it's the right thing. I don't think it's the wrong thing, but I think that a little restriction should be given to these things, right? Because right now it's a dysfunction. I find myself, right?
Mm,
Sometimes I'm scrolling through social media. I have to catch myself sometimes. I'm an adult. I'm busy. I have something doing, and I catch myself sometimes. Right? It's like a programming.
mm,
Everybody is on social media scrolling through. You enter the bus,
mhm,
there's no communication again. There's no conversation. People don't connect
mhm,
again. We now have to start creating networking events. It didn't used to be so. We didn't need networking
mhm,
events because every day you go out, every day you enter
mhm,
public transportation, you get time to communicate with people. But you don't see that anymore.
mhm,
Everybody's bowed down, they're pressing their device, they're scrolling
mhm,
through something, they're reading something, they're watching something, laughing at. And now it's difficult for children. Children these days do not have social life.
mhm,
And there's no filter, not every phone. Only very few parents put the parental restriction on the
mhm,
device for the children. Most parents don't. They don't even know how to do it. So
mhm,
there's no restriction. So the children are just scrolling through, hearing different toxic information, people doing nonsense online,
mhm,
and it's feeding the children. It's toxicity at a very early age. And when a child is young and feeds off those information, it stays more
mhm,
because they don't have another perspective to that situation. That's the first information they've gotten. For example, about sex, they get
mhm,
very perverted, wrong information about sex or about relationships. Now, it has sit down deeply because they're children. And like you say, the mind of a child is like a blank sheet, a blank
mhm,
canvas. And the first thing that is scribbled on that blank canvas is more like a permanent pen. And it's going to stay there for a very long time. And it's going to create what we call mental blockades that
true.
later on will start affecting the child's decision. So, what do you say about early exposure to these social media content and Android devices?
Uh-huh. So, okay, in ancient times, we could memorize things. Huh? We could memorize. And then what happens is like when the books came, we relied on the books. So we say it's in that book, a specific book or encyclopedia. So we relied, but it's difficult. No? But and even reading to read, now people don't do that even. It takes time and effort,
Mm-hmm,
right? And it makes a person actually reading is
mm-hmm,
good. Because but still
mm-hmm,
those days they didn't actually have literature or they used to memorize like vast. They were so knowledgeable in many fields, medicinal, astrology, sociology, all these kind of things, no? Any you name it, they knew so much, uh, in different but by heart. So but later when
mm-hmm,
the books came, it reduces, right? Because we later on in next generations they say it's in that book, we refer to that book even as a reference, we put
mm-hmm,
now law according to this paragraph, this we do that, but we don't have it, right? Yeah, it's not in our mind, and sometimes people don't believe even if we just say from our minds. You need like proof,
mm-hmm,
like it's a court case or
mm-hmm,
something, no? And then the computers came,
mm-hmm,
right? So at a touch of a button, there can be bulks of books or in the internet, and then they say like, okay, I don't remember, but let me Google it or do something, no? Then, but we rely on that device, right? Like we relied on
mm-hmm,
the book, or something we don't know for sure. Ask that person. That person knows better. That's good, but
mm,
that doesn't mean that means we don't have that, right? So later we
mm,
get caught up in a book or a computer. Now it's worse, like the attention span and everything, memory and all is reducing and reducing. And everything is catering for that. What happens is we become more weak.
mm,
We become more reliant. Say,
mm,
like, though we have all this technology, if the electricity goes, all these are done for, right? If there's a hack or something that happens in technology wise or some
everything gone.
everything, no? So we are like, we go like blank and so numb and everything. So more we rely on that, more weaker we get, or actually more dumb we get, and we don't get like more intelligence from this, no. That's why we have now artificial intelligence, for that
Mm,
replacing humans, right? So but those days it was
mm,
totally mine. Mind could know so much and so vast. So there is a structured way, like we, for like dumbing down humans also. You see, like even
mm,
the structure of things, like even if we go to a, I'm just telling, I'm not like saying everything is bad, I'm just telling the sequence of things. Huh? So
mm,
those days in our societies, we had like, uh, elder people who could give so vast knowledge, even our family structure. You could ask your
mm,
father or mother or something, even about things like sex at some age. Huh?
mm,
If they were connecting properly, you could ask them,
mm,
no? So now you have to go to some guy you never met or someplace. This could be a very dangerous person, and you have to get details from this person. And there can be all sorts of things, right? So this,
mm.
say, just for the normal things, if we go to a school also, children are put it into one process, like you mentioned. And what is the difference between like a low dimmed classroom, and you have to be seated there? If you don't get the answer right, there can be only one answer usually. Either you can be punished or your markings can reduce. Huh? And then,
Mm,
some people are connecting that as a scenario in a prison, where people are asked to do
mm,
something, they could be punished if they don't listen, and it's like
mm,
obedience, no, to get them in line for
mm,
something. And usually you see, like where it directs, it's like for like maybe working people, or like, maybe for as soldiers. No, the structure of usually the pattern, it doesn't show about like now we need external coaches to show them like entrepreneurships. They don't
mm,
teach these in our school systems, right? So the
mm.
even in the outside, many things like from media and all, they are not structured to help us actually. Maybe profit somebody else. So it is like, I'm not telling it in any offensive, or I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anybody. But we know the difference between freedom and slavery, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so all these things enslaves us. We are so hooked up on
Mm,
it, like a drug. And when this is
mm,
given to children, my goodness, what can effect? We are from the past generations, and still in our generation, people are caught up in that. Even for a break, they go through that. They don't have proper conversation, even in a family, or pornography and all
mm.
this nonsense, all these things. Uh, that is not even real. These are actors and actresses, right? Or they paid subscriptions. So I don't know
Yeah.
what they are doing, all this crazy stuff for a person they don't even know. They don't.
Mm,
Maybe that person even doesn't know such and such a person exists, right? Uh, or some movie
mm,
star or somebody like that, maybe who's living one of the horrible lives of a human existence. They are idealized or brought up for
mm,
financial purposes. So even children, they
mm.
are, and some are manipulated and put in a way. You should see like some movies and all, even cartoon movies. They have some
Yeah.
figures of very bad, that things that are suitable for adults, maybe, or not even adults. Really, these are like
Mm,
cartoon movies and all. And they have, I don't know, maybe some pervert person was in the group who created this and all, they have like symbols and signs, like the children's mind is very absorptive, no, it can absorb, sorry.
mm,
So when they see these signs and all, what can be the image they have a imprint in. So worst thing is like they get hooked up. I have seen videos of children in their sleep also they are scrolling. Really. In their sleep they are closing their
mm,
eyes and they are doing this with their finger. In their sleep also. So all these things, and usually they are like monetized and like channeling the children's and minds, because this is the next generation, right? So they can be
mm,
manipulated, twisted, and in any direction of any wrong person also wants. Those days they
mm,
used to like, even in Second World War and all, they used to motivate children and had these youth camps and all these things, but they were put to war later on. We know this, right?
mm,
When the aggressive
mm.
side served the losing, they put children in front to protect that
Untoward.
city,
Yeah.
right? I'm not telling which country or
Mm,
anything, but they were little kids. Uh, then they were like so motivated, they used to just jump with bombs and all these things. Uh, so, likewise, children's minds can be manipulated in so many ways. And as adults, if we don't know this, we cannot change all of society, right? But they may be
mm,
angry with us for now, but they'll have the best benefit later on. So we can really everybody doesn't have to have this, right? There's no requirement like that.
mm,
So we can know, okay, this is
mm,
like when you become older, you do what you want. But for now,
mm,
this is how it is. No? So
mm,
children might say, the other children might say, so we should know what is proper. Or at least have a, okay, you do your studies, play around, do all these things. Okay, we give some range of time, but to watch something that is wholesome. And we can have,
mm,
there are apps, no, we can put to our phones, no, like parental
mm.
guidance, no? And just see, because the thing will be becoming more and more difficult as the children age and become
Mm,
teenagers. Then they'll find all sorts of way of sneaking through, going through loopholes, all these things. No, they'll be very creative in this. But the smaller time
mm,
is the time we can do something about it. Later they'll
mm,
be aggressive and all these things also might happen, no? uh, because they grow up and
mm,
their hormones and everything start creating. So as parents in the initial stages, so this goes even from the time of like you want to have a child or you are in a relationship, it goes a long way. Huh? But at now
mm.
also, if we cannot change the past, right? But at least now, especially with these devices and all these things, because in the later run, what if something happens to them? There's even a
Mm.
psychological disorder which has a specific name of a platform, social media platform. Huh? So it has such a small attention span. There are children like this with the psychological disorder now. So that platform's name is given for that disorder. So think the harm
Mm.
more than the good thing, and you see like, sometimes it's total nonsense, right? Uh,
Yeah.
so we as parents and all adults, we can surely not to like crush them and like put them in very harsh conditions. But as parents, like they have to make like specific devices now to stop the internet connection. I saw like in some
Mm.
countries, some parents they quickly take the phones, and there are even like some restaurants they lock the phones when they are in
Yes.
a group lunch or dinner or something. There's a box like
They
this,
love the phone.
lock it. Even in parents, like a paper, how to say, dispenser. This has like jamming the internet signals in that range.
Mm.
So
Mm.
they have to use all these kind of, but you can be like, no, no phones on the table. Uh, until you all
Mm.
eat together, you are not losing it. You are not on the stock market. These children are not on the stock market, no? Just to see the spike and go down or something, right? Yeah, no. It's not like they are in like ICU and then they are like looking at the scan and like through the phone. No, right? Uh, so yeah, we as we should take responsibility and do something about it. Others, it will be very damaging for them as a family,
Mm.
as society, lot of things. Because there are so much darkness
Wow.
outside, no? Not to be afraid of
Yeah.
it, but we can do something about
Mm. Thank
it.
you so much, Sanju. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Uh, um,
Shall we do a bit of meditation?
Lastly, I
Ah, sure, sure.
yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. So, guys, please, if you have any questions, just mute your mic and ask your question. We're just going to take time to do a little bit of breath, work, meditation to calm the nerves. We do this every
Mm-hmm.
Sunday just to be able to ease and then start the new week afresh and refreshed. Right. So if you have any question, just do well to mute your mic and ask your questions, and or drop it in the chat box. We will get it, or someone will attend to it. So lastly, for parents, please, it's not wrong to withhold certain things from your children when it's going to damage them in the future. Delayed gratification still works for children. It helps them. We're struggling. I'd like to say that the world is programming us. I don't know who is programming us. I don't know who is programming what, why they're programming what, but I can tell that we're almost all being programmed. We're programmed unconsciously. We think we're in charge, and we are not really as in charge as we think we are.
Mm.
Something else is really in control. You wake up in the morning, you pick your phone as an adult, and now your child has an Android device. She wakes up, first thing, she's listening to somebody who is saying something from another part of the world that is not really right for them. It's
Mm.
not really helpful. So the least you can do, you can't control their adults yet. Maybe you can help manage the teenagers, but in their childhood, you have power to help them. They might not know now. It might not make so much sense to them, but a little restriction won't kill a child. A little deprival of these things won't kill a child when it's going to help them in the future. So parents, please take note of that. Thank you so much, Sandy.
Okay.
Thank you so much. If you have any question, please do go ahead and ask your question. Yeah.
Uh,
So we just go
Later,
straight
Simon,
into the meditation.
on each session or discussion we meet, let's give like priority for people to talk about their meditation experience first, and then we jump into the topic, and then we finish a
Mhm.
small meditation, and then we go uh to how to say like we prepare for next week. No, likewise.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sure. Sure. Very
Okay,
important.
so if you guys
Yes, sir.
want to like have a sip of water or just stand up and just loosen up a bit or something, please do so. And because we've been talking and listening for some time, and find the
Mhm.
most comfortable position, and just see what you can even practice laying down even on a couch, or later when you want to sleep also you can lay down and practice these kind of things. So we'll just do like 15 minutes of it. 5 minutes for relaxation, 5 minutes for loving kindness meditation, and we'll do a breath meditation also today. Okay, these are like the first thing is to relax the body, and then the second thing is like to lot of irritation, agitation. It's countered by loving kindness meditation. And the breath, it brings stability, it strengthens the mind, it cleanses the mind. Lot of things happen. So these are very simple, but it unknots things and frees us from the how to say the complication of life or anything that goes in our things. It's very simple. These are very simple. That's why it makes you more comfortable even because we already have it very complicated usually, no? So we need simple tools or simple solutions. Okay, so just relax. And what we can do is we can slightly move our body, maybe the shoulders, move your like elbows, even you can shake your hands and just loosen up. You see, boxers also sometimes they loosen up, no? They are going for a fight, right? But still they loosen up, no? So, so likewise, just loosen up, and then take a few deep breaths, breathing in from your nostrils. If you have a cold or something, or if it's like a bit dusty or something, please don't do so. But otherwise, this is a very easy method, and we can do slight like upgrades of this also. So in the breath also, there's a method called 478. 478. There are very ancient methods. They are called pranayama and all these things. And don't worry, it doesn't belong to nobody. We all can use these things, and we don't have to change who we are even. We are just doing for the better of our lives, to make it more, no, more happier, more peaceful, more enriched, more energized. So the connection with God and all these things, you can improve that even if you clear your minds. Uh, you can even see God, for that matter. And then take a few deep breaths, fill up your lungs, and with the count, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it in for 7 if possible, but don't stress yourself or suffocate or anything. So it's like okay, one. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, if possible, exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's a bit tough on me when I'm talking and doing it, but you can do it while you are not talking. It's easier. So breathe in a big breath 1, 2, 3, 4, and then keep it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's like cleansers, no, and you keep it in for the body to get oxygen. But you can use a smaller range also, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 in, and maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep it in, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and let it out. Just see how it goes. The idea is to like bring new energy to the body and the mind also. Or you can simply just take deep breaths, fill up your lungs, and keep it in for some time. Let it go through a blood system and all. There are much more things we can talk about, deep things later on even. And then slowly release from your mouth. With this, you can, I know by experience, and I before I used to work very hard. Just 5 minutes of watching the breath, you can have a lot of relaxation. I'm not telling 100%. I work like even breaking rocks, carrying cement bags, and then 5 minutes of this just watching the breath can take like 50% off that tiredness. Just breathing in, let it let it travel, let it be there, let it travel to all corners of the body, and then slowly release from the mouth. Okay, put out stress. This is one way of exhausting or venting. And then later we can do is like we can move to parts of our body, just like a clenched fist, no? A clenched fist. We with our mind we make a clenched fist with the hand, and with our mind we can think, oh, I don't need this. It's and you can slowly release the fingers or the muscles or the tendons. This is just the example. Likewise, you can release parts of your body or the tendons or the muscles of those areas. And then slowly move to your upper part of the head, like the scalp region. Know your presence there. Just like the example, like you are releasing and letting go of the fingers, try to release that area. Even the attention towards that area releases a lot of pressure. It's like the candle wax meeting the candle flame. Even the attention there starts changing things. It's like the reverse, no? Like when people think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be sick. they actually start becoming sick. The immune system gets weak, they feel tired or even false symptoms and they become true. But when you think the opposite, that thinking itself starts things changing. Then slowly move to your forehead region. All the thinking lines and all this, let them stretch out. You can even use one of your hands if needed, like a gentle massage. And then slowly move to your eyebrows. When we are angry, when we are thinking, the eyebrows are close to each other. Just let them drop to either side and release. Then slowly move to your eyes. Think of a time you're in deep, deep sleep. And then what you can do is just let them drop to any side. Now you're fully awake and aware, but let them drop to any side they wish. Just release them, let go. Surely they won't fall off the sockets, no? So then they should fall off when you're sleeping, also, right? So just let them loose. This is the attention we should put to each part of our body. The body knows exactly the amount of energy it needs. Then slowly move down, check on the teeth and the tongue also, and let it go. Even you can open your jaws or release the jaw muscles, even move it slightly. Then the neck region, the front part of the neck, the back part of the neck, even the whole head area. You can place it in a more comfortable position. Then the shoulders, just if you just drop loose the arms on either side or right in front of you, then lot of stress from the shoulders reduce. You can do movements also if you need. Adjust the posture. Then slowly the chest area, the abdomen, then the upper back, lower back. Then select one of the arms, the upper part of the arm, the middle part of the arm, right up to the fingertips. If you want, open your palm and even spread the fingers. Do the same with the opposite arm also, the upper part from the shoulder to the elbow, elbow to the wrist, all the way right up to the fingertips and open the palms. You feel heat even releasing. There's much more things happening. And then the lower part of the body also, just like the upper part, just see whether you are seated comfortably. Then select one of your legs, the upper part of the leg, and then the knee, the middle part of the leg, and then from the ankle downwards, right up to the toes. And feel the touch of your sole of the foot touching the surface. It could be the shoe, it could be the carpet, but just know that feeling. And then the opposite side also, the other leg, the upper part, the knee, the middle part, all the way right up to the toes, feeling the touch of the surface, touching the soles of the foot or the sole of the foot. So the whole body, later it becomes so quick like you are under the shower or taking a bath, as if you are pouring some water, either warm or cold according to the condition, and every part becomes so relaxed. But when you're practicing for 5 minutes, you can do few cycles of this. Now let's go to loving kindness meditation. These are four ancient lines, very easy. Either you can use any terminology, any frustration or agitation likewise. May I be free from agitation or anxiety or irritation. Or you can just put them all under the category of anger. This is in the very subtle stages. That doesn't mean you're a bad person, you're an angry person, none of that. May I be free from anger. Then may I be free from mental pain. Number two. May I be free from physical pain. Last but not least, may I live happily and peacefully. That's the most important thing, no? If we are happy, we can make our family happy, the children happy, the society, all the workplace. May I be free from anger or whatever thing is going through you now. If not, just put it in the label of anger. May I be free from mental pain. May I be free from physical pain. May I live happily and peacefully. Don't worry, we'll put this video up also so you can and you can ask always questions either through Simon or anything. Or we can make a small group even, no? Like for question and answers if needed, like a WhatsApp group or something. Now slowly take your attention to the breath and try to focus on the natural breath. But do it in a very relaxed way. That's why we do loving kindness meditation at the beginning, and even before that, we do the relaxation because we have to learn how to relax. We are now so tense, we don't know how to even relax. But this is not who we are. We, we try to do things on behalf of relaxation, but we are so stressed. It's the opposite. So focus on the small area from the tip of your nose to the upper lip area. And if you want, you can take a few intentional breaths like we did before and feel the touch of the breath going into the body and coming out of the body or the nostrils. Very simple. And for 5 minutes, if possible, daily, maybe one time in the morning, one time in the evening. Within on that day also you can see, and within a few days also you can see a lot of changes for the better happening. It's so powerful and so wonderful. So with that in mind, we'll just make a beautiful thought and or some thoughts and finish this session or discussion for today. Just think in your mind, may all beings be well, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be well, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be well, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful. And then slowly you can bring your attention to your eyes and open your eyes, take in this light and to your life, to your family, to your children, and helping ourselves as well as helping everybody, especially our children. Okay, so thank you so much, and thank you so much, Simon, for bringing this program up, and then thank
Thank you
you
so
all
much,
for
Salim.
participating, and thank you for having me also
Thank you.
today.
Thank you so much, Salim.
Okay,
Thank you
have a
so much.
great time, and Simon, if possible, we make a small WhatsApp group or something, and then
Yeah,
anybody
sure,
can
sure.
put. We just have to join in, no, hop in, and they if like
Yeah, sure.
questions from here or something, if they want, they can type
Yeah,
in question, no.
yeah, sure. So that'll
Uh-huh.
be amazing. That'll be
Okay,
amazing.
so have a
All
wonderful
right.
day or good night rest
Thank
and
you.
a wonderful week
Thank you.
ahead
Thank you.
also. And please, if possible, do 15 minutes of these three in the morning time. That will be the time that is perfect for growth. In the evening time, use
Mm,
these for relaxation. You can just sit down on
mm,
a chair or something, just stretch your arms and legs, and then even do this. When you're lying down for bed and all, you can do this. Or at office also, you can just stretch out as if you are just relaxing, and you can do either relaxation or loving kindness. See that it starts changing for the better.
mm.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Okay,
man.
then see you soon.
Thank you
Eh?
so much. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, have a good
We'll
night and a
have
good
the video
rest.
sent. All right.
Sure,
All
sure.
right. Okay.